All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are tackling one of the biggest and, let's be honest, one of the most daunting parts of your IB diploma, the Maths IA. We're going to build a strategic blueprint to help you absolutely nail it.
Okay, let's start with why this matters so much. We're talking about a huge chunk of your final grade, 20%. And as teacher Mr. Flynn points out, think about this. Every single mark you get on this IA is actually worth more towards your final percentage than a mark on your final exams. That's why getting this right is such a massive opportunity.
So what is this thing? Well, it's not like any other math test you've ever taken. There's no timer, no set questions. Instead, you're writing a full-on 12 to 20-page exploration. It's all about your own ideas, your creativity, and your ability to plan. So, how on earth do you conquer it?
Don't worry, we've got a plan. We'll start with the foundation, choosing your topic. Then we'll decode the marking criteria so you know exactly what they're looking for. After that, we'll map out a strategic workflow. And finally, we'll figure out what it takes to go from good to truly outstanding.
All right, let's get right into it. The foundation, choosing your topic. I cannot stress this enough. This is the most critical step in your entire IA journey. If you get this part right, the whole project just flows. It becomes easier and honestly way more interesting.
You know, there's this great quote from Abraham Lincoln. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. As teacher Mr. Flynn points out, that's your IA in a nutshell. Spending that time up front to find and refine a really great topic is sharpening your axe. It makes the actual writing so much more effective. Seriously, do not rush this.
So, how do you find that perfect topic? Well, you've basically got 2 main ways to go about it. The first path? Start with something you already love. I'm talking Formula 1, architecture, maybe even video games. Find something you're genuinely passionate about and then dig in to find the maths. The other way? Flip it. Start with a bit of maths from the syllabus that you find interesting, like, say, normal distribution or graph theory, and then go looking for a cool, real-world place to apply it.
Now, some parts of the syllabus are just perfect for a top-scoring IA. Mathematical modeling, for example, is huge. So much you can do there. Statistics and probability are always a great choice. Things like exploring correlations or testing a hypothesis. Calculus is fantastic, too. You could do something like finding the area under the arc of a golf shot or the volume of your favorite coffee mug. And don't forget geometry. You can get into some really cool stuff like Voronoi diagrams or fractal dimensions.
Okay, so once you've got a topic simmering, what's next? You have to understand the rules of the game. You've got to know exactly how you're being marked. And look, this isn't about trying to game the system. It's about knowing how to communicate what you know in a way that examiners will recognize and reward. It really is like learning the secret code.
So, your IA is marked against 5 criteria. It all adds up to 20 marks. You've got presentation, mathematical communication, personal engagement, reflection, and the big one, use of mathematics. Let's break each one down so you know exactly what you need to do to get those marks.
First up, Criterion A, presentation. This is worth 4 marks, and it's all about making your work clear, organized, and easy to follow. A great IA should read like a story. It needs a logical flow, a title page, a clear introduction that states your aim, a conclusion that actually answers that aim, and please, page numbers. You want the examiner to be able to follow your thinking without any effort at all.
Next, Criterion B, mathematical communication, also for 4 marks. This is about speaking the language of maths correctly. And I mean correctly. Use a proper equation editor. Don't just type x caret 2. Define your key terms and your variables before you start using them. And this one is huge. Label everything. Every graph, every table, every diagram needs a clear title and labeled axes, so they make sense on their own.
All right, Criterion C, personal engagement, for 3 marks. This one trips a lot of people up. It is not about writing some fake paragraph about how you've always loved whatever your topic is. It's about showing real, authentic curiosity. The examiner needs to see that your interest is what's driving the project. You could do this by collecting your own data, looking at a common topic in a new way, or even sharing a personal story that explains why you chose this particular question.
Now for Criterion D, reflection.
And listen, this has to be more than just a summary of what you did. Just describing your results, that's limited reflection. Meaningful reflection is better. It ties back to your original question and talks about what you found. But to get the top marks, you need critical reflection. That means you're talking about the strengths and weaknesses of your approach, the limitations. What are the bigger implications of your findings, and where could this investigation go next?
And finally, Criterion E, use of mathematics. This is the big one, the heavyweight, worth a massive 6 marks. The maths you choose is the engine of your whole project. It has to be relevant, it has to be complex enough for your level, and you have to show you really understand it. And for you higher-level students, listen up. This means you absolutely must use concepts from the HL syllabus. It's non-negotiable for the top marks.
Okay, so now we know the rules of the game. What we need is a solid action plan. A proper workflow is going to save you from that last-minute panic and help you produce your absolute best work.
Here's a simple 4-step timeline. First, brainstorming and picking your topic. We've already talked about how important that is. Second, research and writing a first draft. And on that point, aim to get a complete first draft done. Why? Because your teacher can only give you detailed written feedback once. So if you give them a full draft, even a messy one, the advice you get back will be so much more useful.
All right, let's talk about some common pitfalls, the silly mistakes that can easily cost you marks. Watch out for these. Don't use calculator notation, like the little star for multiplication. Don't repeat yourself. Label every single graph and table. If you have huge tables of raw data, stick them in an appendix, not in the middle of your report. And remember what we said about reflection? Weave it in throughout your work, don't just tack it on at the end.
So, let's bring it all together. What takes an IA from being just good to being an outstanding grade 7 piece of work? What are the real game changers?
It really comes down to how these 3 things work together. The absolute best IAs have 1. That authentic personal engagement driving the whole thing. 2. They use sophisticated and rigorous maths as their main tool. And 3. It's all wrapped up in clear, critical reflection that shows you deeply understand what you've done, why you've done it, and what it all means.
Look, your IA is so much more than just another assignment. It is your chance to actually be a mathematician for a while, to ask your own questions, to follow your own curiosity, and to tell a story using the language of maths. So the only question left for you is, what mathematical story are you going to tell?